This is Waymakers Today, coming to you from Yugambeh country of the Comerbury people of the Gold Coast, Australia. Waymakers Today is an exclusive podcast by me, your host, Tim Buxton, where my sole aim is to make you a more informed global citizen by sharing with you the latest news and trends of the refugee crisis from every corner of the world. You'll also hear inspiring stories of Waymakers leading change in our communities and how you too can get involved with organisations like You Belong and so many more. So, sit down and fasten your seatbelts for the latest episode of Waymakers Today.
What was so cool was hearing a couple of the Afghani stories of this one particular family that had escaped from Afghanistan. And when they were at one of the army bases in the US, they had interviewed the kids and they said, it was always our dream to go to Disneyland. And I had heard this story after we actually put on a Disneyland day for Afghan refugees and Ukrainian refugees. And it was just so cool to have like all the dots come together, that how remarkable all the things that they've experienced up until that point. And now they find themselves at Disneyland. And again, remind you, we do it intentionally, that we're doing some of these not as programs for refugees, but they're our friends. And how cool to be able to celebrate a day that isn't about serving or helping or whatever, but just having fun and having fun together because we enjoy being with them. So it was awesome. It was truly awesome. I mean, I think through the day, when I look back, I don't know how much they experienced in that moment because their phones were up through almost the whole day. They were experiencing Disneyland through their phones. They were recording every single minute of all of it. It was really remarkable. But I will say, we were at Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, and one of them leaned over and said, "This looks like my hometown." And I was like, uh-oh. So there's like that moment too, where it's interesting how we look at the world and how somebody else looks at the world in a very different way. And he said it in like it was kind of just remarkable how they had kind of done they recreated all this stuff, but it did hit home that, if you're in Indiana Jones and there's like a boulder coming after you, that seems like really fun at Disneyland, but that's not so fun if you're fleeing off the side of a mountain and a boulder is coming after you, So, but it was really quite a day that again reminded you that anything is possible. And, that's working with Bob, that's working at Love Does, that's working with refugees who have been, as we said, as we were talking, are industrious enough to find a way to make it to these different countries. And now you want to just do what you can to help them to realize that, yes, anything is possible, and let's help you get there.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode of Waymakers Today and doing your part in staying informed and inspired on the quest to create a world where everyone belongs. Waymakers Today is brought to you by the Justice Matters podcast with Tim Buxton and the Just Travel Company, your socially responsible travel concierge. Just Travel is the best kept secret in culturally immersive and justice-oriented adventures. Allow Just Travel to take the hassle out of your next trip and experience wonder and unearth justice. Discover the just way to travel today. Simply head on over to just-travel.co to learn more and book your next adventure. Like our flagship Israel-Istanbul trip launching out in mid-July 2023. This podcast was produced by the master himself, Jose Biotto, with a little help from me. The featured music is the song Chasu by Beck Nebel. Lastly, thank you for subscribing to this podcast. Without you and your support, this podcast would not be possible. And for all of you that earned access to the private feed by joining the neighborhood, You Belong's community of monthly givers, thank you so much. Together, we are empowering Waymakers around the world until we all belong. Waymakers Today acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation, now known as Australia. and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.